So hey, I'm Sean. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Touch your neighbor and just say, I'm glad you're here. Just tell them that.
I'm glad you're here.
Touch your other neighbor and say, say you chose the right breakout. You chose the right one. That was. I'll just hand those around if you want to take one and just pass those. So a couple things are coming around. There's a worksheet just for a few things to fill out. If you got digital, you can just kind of gives you a framework. And then there's also a review sheet. And that's to review the speaker and the content. And it's totally anonymous. You can share your name and email at the bottom. But the cool thing is that we're recording this, so if you share anything negative, then I just have like a follow-up team that will harm your family. And so, just kidding. So we really want honest feedback and things like that on those. So those will come around, and once it goes on there, we can pass them up. Again, my name is Sean, and we're going to be talking about how to use video to grow your ministry, and as well as, but these principles will definitely apply in a non-profit space, of course, a church space, and other things like that. And so we can jump right into it. And so the question that we are asking today in this breakout session is why video and why now? Because both an important question. We're talking about using video, but why should we use video? Like, is there really any ROI, return on investment, for you to use that for your ministry, for your church, for what you're doing? And why now? Like, is there an urgency to use video now, or could we approach it lackadaisically, or can we jump right into it like there's some importance on it? So those are the questions. But before we get into that, I want to specifically just talk a little bit about my background so you can know who I am. And a question for you is, where were you in 2003? Think about that. 2003, what were you doing? Where were you? A couple things that were actually happening that year was President George W. Bush was the President of the United States. iTunes was created that year. That was actually the year that iTunes started, in 2003. Of course, the governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger, that was the year he was elected. One of our greater moments. Saddam Hussein was captured that year, and gas cost $1.83 in 2003. And so, 2003, but why am I talking about that? Because two life-changing events happened to me that year. The first one was I actually met my wife, wasn't my wife at the time, her name's Sonia, and she was a Starbucks barista. And so I saw her for the first time in 2003, and I would go in. I was actually in Bible school, and I was studying my Bible, and and she was making my coffee. Needless to say, I started to drink a lot more coffee and make a lot more frequent trips to Starbucks as I was getting to know her. True story, I actually found out that she was into running and jogging, and I wasn't, but I saw an opportunity for a strategic move there. And that strategic move was to put on running clothes and then show up to Starbucks like I had just got done with a run. And she goes, "Oh, you run?" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, clearly you can see." And so she said, "Well, we should go running sometime." Yes. And so the rest was history after that. And the second thing, though, that happened to me in 2003 was that was the year that I started video. And this is a ragtag group of video people at our church, some volunteers. You'll see that green screen there was some fabric from a fabric store called Joann Fabrics in our small town. We stitched it up, and some Home Depot lights. And we didn't have any special lighting. We were just trying to figure out what it was. And my youth pastor back then actually handed me a video camera and editing software called Adobe Premiere back in those days. And he said, start making videos for our youth ministry. Now, here was literally the workflow. We would shoot on this little DV camera tape, and it had a tape in there. And if there's any young people in the room, you wouldn't even know what this is. But this is, it had a DV tape, and we actually had to plug it into the computer, capture minute for minute the footage we just shot. I would edit it, and then I would send it back to the camera, minute for minute, recording what I just edited, and then to play at our youth ministry Wednesday nights, we take that tape, convert it into a VHS tape, and then play that on Wednesday night at church. And the funny thing about that story is that 2003, that was still not, that was horrible. Like, I mean, but hey, in the church, we're always 10 years behind, right? So in 2003, that's what we were doing. And that's where we got started. And from that point, I had no idea that video was literally going to change my life. And I started to do it in church, eventually joined the staff. In 2009, launched a company called Clear Vision Media and started doing some video production for clients like Mercedes in Seattle or the YMCA. In 2011, then, we launched this church leadership and church creativity blog, and specifically a YouTube channel called Think International. And in just a short time, we grew to be the #1 channel for church leadership and church creativity videos on YouTube, and produced over 100 videos in the first 6 months. And so right at this time, we really began to see the power and the potential of video. And then I joined our church, the church movement, with my pastor, lead pastor Benny Perez. In 2011, I moved to Las Vegas from Seattle and with my wife, and we began to take a director of communications role and do more video and social media and church marketing and things like that for a few years. And then just recently, I launched a book called YouTube for Churches, about leveraging the power of YouTube and specifically online video to reach more people with your message from your church and from your ministry. And I say all that for this conclusion, that in all of that time and all that experience, I've learned that video is one of the greatest storytelling and community building tools in history. And therefore, learning the art of video creation and video marketing should be a top priority, I believe, for every single one of us in this room. Now, maybe you're not going to do that personally, but somebody in your organization, somebody on your team, in your ministry, nonprofit, or church should absolutely be taking video and video marketing very seriously, because the power and the potential is literally revolutionary. I believe one of the greatest storytelling tools in history. And so, and I want to prove that in this session. So the question's now, why video and why now? Number one, and on your worksheets in front of you, if you got those, you'll see the blank there, that it is the #1 content format of choice. What do I mean by that? Well, Social Media Examiner just said that this year, video is going to dominate as the social media content format of choice. So we're at this great conference, and we're learning about the power of social media, specifically ministry online. Well, what Social Media Examiner has discovered is that people, consumers, you and I, that our preferred content format of choice is video. And so, and think about it this way. How many of you, when you want to solve a problem in your house, like your dishwasher's broken, and you're going to search online, you'd rather read a blog post to walk you through how to fix it, or watch a YouTube video of how to fix that dishwasher? You want to see video content in response to your questions, in response to your problems. And so that's what they're discovering, that more and more when we see with YouTube and of course other platforms like Vimeo, but even with Snapchat and Periscope and some of these other platforms, that video is the #1 content format of choice. It's what people want. Therefore, you and I should be producing and creating influential video. Secondly, I believe, and this is in my humble opinion, that it is the best storytelling tool. And for us, we're all in the business of telling the greatest story ever told of the gospel, and of course also the stories of our local organization, of our mission, the stories and maybe testimonies inside of our church or our ministry. But we're all storytellers. In fact, it's important and even worth writing down that every single one of us in this room, if you're at this conference, you're called to be a storyteller. And maybe you've never referred to yourself that way, but we are storytellers. Seth Godin, an influential voice and best-selling author, said that marketing is no longer about the stuff you make, but about the stories you tell. And I love this thought that if pictures is worth 1,000 words, then a video is worth 1,000,000. And we know that pictures have power and that pictures have influence, but then that would show us that even more, that compelling and influential video is even more influential. And therefore, I believe that it is one of the, if not the best storytelling tool at our disposal. Third, it's more affordable than it ever is before. And so video is powerful, that's awesome. And we could think through about even the power of video in your own life. Like you can maybe think of maybe an influential film or something you saw in the theater that really changed your life, changed your thinking. But influential television or film or media in the past was out of reach. It was too expensive. It was behind whether people in the marketing arena or access to buying time or being on television or being in the film industry. You had to get over those barriers, and then the equipment was too expensive. But now, today, it's more affordable than really ever before. Therefore, the barrier to entry to create influential video for you and your organization is lower than ever has been. And so I believe that now creativity and hustle are the only barriers to creating great video. That equipment is no longer a barrier. That everybody, even all of us in this room, probably have the power in our own pocket with our smartphones to create good video. We just have to figure out the creativity and the hustle necessary to package our story and tell it in a compelling way. And then fourth, why video and why now? Free global distribution. Before, if you wanted to get your TV show off the ground or you wanted to make a film, you were trying to get distribution. You needed help. You needed to get into stores. You needed to get into theaters. You needed to get on television. But now, all of those barriers have been eliminated, and the power rests in your hands and my hands to distribute content literally around the world free on platforms like YouTube and video sharing sites, as well as social media. And then recent statistics tell us that right now 40% of the world's population has an internet connection, and in 1995 that was just 1%. So we know that that is increasing at an exponential rate. But what's more significant is that that actually translates to 3.1 billion people. I had a conversation that said it could be up to as many as 4 billion people that right now have an internet connection. So what does that tell us? That tells us that we have the power to now tell stories and reach people, and we can do it in one of the most compelling ways. That's video. And then lastly, why video and why now? Like, why is it important that you and I would take action today and right after this conference, and even as we're here, and how we can implement this into our own situations and organization? Is because video is favored by top platforms. And so a lot of us in this room, we would think, you might ask questions like, how do we get our website discovered in search engines? Have you ever asked that question before? How do we rank higher in Google so that you could find my ministry, my church, or my business? How do we get the content that we're putting on the internet to be found when people are searching? Well, check out these statistics. That videos appear for 55% of Google keyword searches. That over half of what Google is serving to the person that's searching is video content. Furthermore, that 82% of those results are from YouTube. So that tells me this, that it's important that we're making videos, and that it's important that we're using YouTube specifically, because that Google is favoring video content, and specifically content on its own platform called YouTube. Secondly, even beyond YouTube, Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, in a recent shareholders update, just said this, and you probably have noticed this, that video is a very big priority now for Facebook. You might have you seen extra videos showing up in your Facebook news feed at all? Maybe like cat videos or dog videos. I don't know what kind of videos, but more than ever before, you're noticing video content that's in your Facebook news feed. Why? Because Facebook is favoring video. So platforms are giving extra weight, and there's an open window right now to creating video content and getting it seen and reaching new people and reaching strangers and reaching people your organization maybe has never reached before with video content. And we're seeing that influence on top platforms like Facebook and YouTube. So just a couple examples now personally. So this is all well and good, but how does this even translate into a ministry context? And for us, we create different video content, and we put it onto Facebook, and we put it onto YouTube and different platforms in our church. In this particular case, in this season, our church is in Las Vegas, and we had an Easter worship experience. And we did a lot of social media, specifically with video promotion, to let people know about Easter at the church. Now, one of the cool things that we did was we took our programs and we put a section on the program at the time that said, how did you hear about the church? And maybe you do this in your church, and you'd see like a friend told me, or we heard about it on our website, or we heard about it on things like that. Well, one of the things that we did, distinctions, is we actually separated social media from even just online or from a friend or from a newspaper or whatever else. And so in this particular case, as I was looking over these cards, someone actually said, how did you hear about the church? And this person actually checked the social media box, social media, Facebook or Twitter. And what's even more significant is that at the bottom of the card, it says, today, it has a salvation area, and it says, today, I gave my life to Jesus for the first time, or I recommitted my life. And so this particular person actually came to the church, met Jesus for the first time, and found the church not because someone invited them, not even actually because of a Google search. In this case, they found because of social media, and part of our social media mix is video. And so this absolutely has power and potential to reach people in a local context of ministry. This is, meet Ricardo. Ricardo's from Arizona. I just met Ricardo in this picture, and he came to a leadership event, much like this, called our Young Leaders Roundtable. And so Ricardo comes up, hey, how's it going? He goes, man, it's going good. And I go, how'd you hear about it? And I love to ask that question. I encourage you, if you're in a marketing position in your church or your organization or your business, whatever you do, that is my favorite question. If anyone new ever comes, you want to find out, how did they hear about you? Where did it start? What was the connection where they ended up in this situation right now? So I asked him that question, and he says, he goes, I go, yeah, had you heard of, this leadership event, or how do you know about us, and so on and so forth? He goes, oh, I saw a video online, and particularly a video series you guys were giving away with some leadership training. And he goes, so I signed up my name and my email, and I watched those videos, and then you told me about this event, and now I'm here. I thought this was significant and I needed to get here. So he went from seeing a video to being on an email list to driving from Arizona and registering for this Young Leaders Roundtable that was a part of our event, being a total stranger to being someone who was at our church and part of our mission to equip and raise up young leaders and leaders of all ages. And he ended up being there. The case study of video. With Think International, the leadership blog, that we have, just using video has been our primary vehicle. That's how we publish the content, and if we ever really do blog posts, we just embed those. And so in about 5 years, we've been able to have about 500,000 or over 500,000 views, and have gotten almost 7,000 subscribers. It's probably over that by now. Why do I say that? Because the case study of creating video content and putting that out there is help us build a tribe, build an audience of creative leaders and of church leaders around this idea of impacting more people through this. So Think International is definitely an example and a case study of video working practically. And then we've done it in book launches and have used, and if any of you want to write a book, or maybe you're connected to somebody who wants to write a book, or they're struggling and they say it's really hard to launch a successful book these days, we've used a video in that and had many successful book launches. A lot of times in this case, self-published, maybe just ebooks, things like that. And then another case study to consider that I love, and talk about this in my book, YouTube for Churches, but this idea of digital missionaries. And you'll see a lot of people now that are saying, yeah, we could use video to grow our church, or we could use video to grow our ministry, our nonprofit. But there's others that are saying, we see a digital mission field here. And we're going to create content that's targeted and focused on reaching people in the digital space. Let me ask you this question. Have you ever heard of the video Why I Hate Religion But Love Jesus by Jeff Bethke? Let me see your hands. Wave at me. Wave at me. So about half the room has seen that video. It has over 40 million views on YouTube. And it was very polarizing, it was very controversial, but it was very influential. And since that time, Jeff has continued to make videos specifically to an audience. He's not a church, he's not connected to any particular organization, and many others that are beginning to see the power and the potential to say we can reach people creatively with video on these platforms. And many are doing that. So in all of that, we'll get to Q&A, which is my absolute favorite part, and how can this really work in your situation. So if you have any questions, there's an area even on the bottom of your sheet just to jot down any thoughts or points of clarification. We'd love to get to those. But just really quickly, we see that it's important that video is not only important, but we also see that it's important now. And I believe there's an open window specifically to really take advantage of what I would call over-indexing, just meaning that Google, Facebook is giving a disproportionate amount of favor to video content. That's why you and I should be creating it. But a huge question comes up, and you might even be thinking about that. Well, But it's hard. I mean, like video content is kind of complex. I mean, you have to like lighting, you got to turn the camera on, you have to have a camera, and you have to, other content maybe is easier to produce. And I would like to dispel the idea that video really is that complex, and that it actually is possible for all of us here, you and me, to create influential content that starts getting greater results for what it is you're doing. So after this session, I just want you to take away a few things. What platform specifically do you need to be on? What are 3 video production hacks that you can just apply right away to just start making videos you're creating or you're about to start creating better? And then what are the 5 biggest mistakes that I see and how to fix those when it comes to video? And so first and foremost, what platforms should you be on? The funny, interesting one is that you should be on Facebook, and that's on the blank on those sheets as well, when it comes to video. Now, you're probably already on Facebook. But as Mark said earlier on, that we're paying a lot of attention, Mark Zuckerberg, to video. And so Facebook right now is, and we're seeing this in our church. I'm seeing this for like authors and speakers that I'll do some social media work for, that video is the thing that you should be posting, keyword, natively to Facebook right now. What do I mean? It means that you don't want to upload the video to YouTube and then post that link on Facebook. Facebook will actually not give your video the favor for that. They want you to upload it directly to the Facebook platform, and it gets a disproportionate amount of results. A few stats that are outside of the video realm and that you might even be frustrated with is that Facebook is actually a very frustrating platform. And you might say, well, we have like 1,000 likes, or we have 10,000 likes, or we've got 500 likes. But you probably notice when you post your any kind of content, barely anybody's seeing it and barely anybody's engaging with it. That's because a short while ago, Facebook actually throttled down your engagement to 16%, but recently they've said it's as low as 6% or even 1% to 2%. That would mean that if you've got 1,000 people that like your page, maybe 10 to 20 are seeing when you post. That's horrible. And what they want is they want you to start paying for ads. But the hack around that, at least for the time being, is posting video. That video is, again, over-indexing right now when it comes to reaching people with your message. And there's creative ways to do that. So what's that? That means if you're uploading videos anywhere else, upload them natively to Facebook. And take advantage of the open window of opportunity to reach people and build your influence, build your audience when it comes to Facebook. So that's a platform you should be on. Upload native videos to Facebook. Secondly, of course, YouTube. YouTube's the 2nd largest search engine in the world. Well, I didn't know it was a search engine. It's not. It's a video sharing site. But it's the second place, second to Google, that people go with questions. So they go to Google and they say how to cook baked salmon, and they search there. The second place they look is how to cook baked salmon on YouTube. Or they might say churches in La Habra, and they're going to type that search term in. The second place, second to Google, is going to be YouTube. And so YouTube is a very strategic place to go. And some people are even saying, wow, Facebook is going up so much. Should I just abandon YouTube? The best advice I've heard actually is that it's a mix of both. That if your content's on both, Facebook gives an initial boost and spike of reaching people and reaching your audience. And then YouTube is more long tail, that you might be able to create content, which I would call evergreen, meaning it's content that could be found that's relevant next month, it's relevant 6 months from now, it's relevant 2 years from now, and you could post that on YouTube. It's going to be discoverable in search over the long tail. So the first platform you want to be on is Facebook, you want to be on YouTube, and then there's other platforms to, of course, experiment with, and I'd love to talk about some of those in the Q&A, but things like Periscope, which is a live streaming app. That Meerkat there is the app called Meerkat. These are apps that have now made it possible on your phone to instantly press a button and go live with your followers, and it'll also send a tweet out, and you could start being live with whoever is following you. Great opportunity to maybe schedule a Q&A with your pastor, to schedule a Q&A with the founder or somebody influential in your organization, or even yourself, and to say, I'm going to be on at a certain amount of time. They're very cool because the interaction there is good. People can real-time ask questions and interact. And so some new technologies like that can help spread the word. Snapchat is very big. I would write down that if there's anybody in student ministry specifically needs to be using Snapchat. And so maybe you know somebody or you're connected to a church that was, I see across the board, whether it's junior high or high school specifically, and it's getting older than that, and some lead pastors and some things are getting on Snapchat. It's kind of weird and it's kind of awkward, but they're doing it. But Snapchat is definitely a younger demographic that's embracing that. And then YouTube Live, some of the opportunities, YouTube is actually a great option for live streaming your church services. And I just found out that Online Church, the lifechurch.tv free platform, can now embrace YouTube Live and some different things. So other things to consider as well. But when it really comes to video, if you're saying, okay, if I'm going to focus on two, focus on Facebook and YouTube with your video content. 3 really quick video production hacks. The first one is to level up your lighting. The key with video, and these are the takeaways. These are so you can create some videos today, right after this session, in the lobby, and you get on your phone and you dress somebody and shoot something and then post that to Facebook natively. It's becoming that simple. But the key in that is that lighting is a huge deal. And so you go, well, what do I need to buy, and so on and so forth. I don't even mean that you need to buy lighting. I just mean don't shoot videos in dark rooms. I just mean that you could shoot here, but it'd be better to go outside in the sun. I mean that just these little distinctions, you just think, am I in a good lighting situation? How can I level up my lighting? Or can I just buy some cheap lights to make my lighting better? You don't need to necessarily level up your video camera. Just level up your lighting for a low amount of money, and your videos will look amazing. If you look at other people's, you're like, why do theirs look better than mine? Mine look horrible. Level up your lighting. Just get more lighting. Go to a better place. Stand in front of a window. But this is the one thing. Just ask yourself, before you hit the record button, is my lighting good and how can I make it better? Don't even buy lights. Get some lamps in your house. Take the lamp part off and just put them all in front of you. And just have a lot of light and your videos will look better. So that's one way to do it. The second is to level up your audio. And these 2 things are the most important things in video, that people will actually forgive maybe the video quality and different things about it, but they do want to see you and they do want to hear you. And so a couple tips in leveling up your audio: don't shoot videos on airport tarmacs. It's too loud. Like, it's just trains next to train stations. But you'd be surprised. I mean, you just have to consider, like, what is my environment? Like, hey, let's update everybody right by the freeway. That's the wrong place. And so if you are in just a more quieter environment, you're just aware of the audio. And if all you have is whatever you're shooting on, the closer you actually get to the camera, the better. Because if you're shooting on, say, your phone, then you're just closer to the microphone. And in both situations, there's a lot of content. And with the YouTube for Churches, I have a lot of free resources that you can get at youtubeforchurches.com that just talk about like super affordable mics that you could just plug right into your phone, clip onto your shirt, and all of a sudden now you're producing pro stuff for not a lot of investment. But the biggest one is really leveling up your content. And inevitably in every video editing situation or video situation, when I talk about video, people are like, well, what camera should I get to really make it awesome? Or like, what lighting is going to make it better? What microphone? But the thing that's going to make your videos better is just the content on the video. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Video is a medium, just like we're communicating here, to just be able to look someone in the eye, hear from them, feel their emotion, connect with them. And so leveling up the content itself, meaning your energy, meeting up the clarity of the message. If you're going to post your pastor or somebody or yourself, you're going to post some sort of a message on YouTube and it's 10 minutes, try to make it 5. Half short and twice strong. How can you make it more energetic? How can you make it clearer? How can you just up the quality of the content, that you're adding value, that you're really giving something to the viewer? Ask the question, why would the viewer want to watch this video? What are they going to get out of this video? And so if you level up the content, that's going to overcome any of the video production limitations. And when I talk about level up your energy, just as one point, this is huge because one thing that you just have to know, you might feel ridiculous if you, when you start to do this on video, but here's the key. Your energy for video should be double what your energy is normally, just to appear normal to the audience. Did that make sense? That if you double how you normally act and interact, and you do that on video, the audience is just going to think it looks completely normal, and you'll feel crazy. You'll feel like I'm going too much, this is out of control, and but it'll translate well, and it'll connect with your audience. So it's a hard discipline to level it up, because I don't know if you've ever seen it. The video is recorded and you felt like it was energetic, or so you shot something, or your organization or church put it out, and then once you play it, it just seems like you're like, whoa, this is kind of dull. This is kind of, because video just seems to do that you need to, simple principle, double your energy when you get on camera, when you shoot something, or when somebody you work with does, and it'll turn out great. It'll turn out on their side. So level up your content. These 3 simple things can take exactly what you're doing right now and just bring them up to another level. And ultimately, it's not about your resources, it's about your resourcefulness. If you have to go to the fabric store and weave together some random green fabric to create a green screen, awesome. It's like whatever you have, utilize the tools that are already at your disposal. Borrow something from the person next to you. Ask somebody, for help, and just look at the resources that are available in your world. Really quick, and then we'll jump into Q&A. The 5 biggest mistakes that people make with video. And I love these, and they're on your worksheet, and we'll go over them really quick. And the first one is that when people post videos, they have bad video titles and bad video SEO. What do I mean by that? It means that the way they title, so let's say you upload a video to YouTube. I've seen this so many times, specifically from churches, that they'll upload a video, maybe they'll put a lot of energy into it, and they'll make a conference promo or a series promo for the next sermon series, and the title will be promo _ 64219.mp4. And then you go to the YouTube description and it's blank, and they put it up. And then we see that video, and who knows how we found it. Maybe they just sent a tweet out to it or something. And you find it, and it only has 3 views. Well, one of the reasons is not because the content is bad, is because it wasn't really marketed well. It didn't have a good title. So when it comes down to putting out video out there, the principles of just really writing, or even just blogging, the same way as you would want to have a good blog headline, you need to have a great video headline, a good description. And it should be a promise of what the person is going to get, and it should answer a need, So you could say, even if you were to say, the Radical Women's Conference, or by Girls with Swords Unite, 2015. You could also say the Orange County, women's leadership event. And you could actually kind of play with the title. I don't know if that made sense. You could play with the title to make it more relevant to what the event is and to reaching a wider audience of people. Because the title can now describe what they're about to see, a promo of. And a lot of times we just miss it right on this area. We put all this energy into the creation of the video, but then we lose right at this place. The secondly is video SEO. Now SEO stands for search engine optimization. And a lot of web designers know about SEO because what they're trying to do is get a website optimized so that it ranks on Google and so that people can find it. Well, the same is true for video. So video SEO is basically just optimization principles applied to video. And what that would mean is that you have a good title, you have a good description, and you have some good tags. And we overcomplicate this, and we think, oh my gosh, that I should take a course, and I probably need to, really all you need to do is be a human being. Actually, check with your neighbor. Say, are you human? Are you a human being? Just check with them. Touch them. Go ahead and ask them that. Touch the person on the other side. Say, I know you might not be. I don't. Like just be the person next to you. Like, what do you search for? Like, what do you want to see? Like what are the questions you ask? What's the information that you want? What is the way that you think when you search to find things? And then just really include that. And so a lot of times we just underutilize optimizing. So this just means adding descriptions and things on our videos, which means they can't be found. If I'm posting a video on Facebook, I don't just put the video and then leave it. I now try to think of copy, words, text around the video that's going to make people want to watch the video. So the work is not done with just the video. You want to really optimize it as well. Secondly, uploading low quality video. In 2015, it is absolutely not okay to not upload HD video. This should go without saying, but yet I see it all the time, and I see it sometimes with massively influential people or influential churches, and somehow it still sneaks by. And usually it's a problem in their workflow, and what I mean by that is your iPhone right now, or your Droid, is shooting HD video. Every phone is. Every camera is. There's not a camera made really even the last 5 years that does not shoot HD. But the problem is sometimes you shoot it, and then you're like, I want to upload this. And so you click that button that says email it to yourself. And so you email yourself the video, and so it fits in an email attachment, it downgrades it 6 times. And so you lost all the quality, you end up uploading it, and now it looks terrible. And so just a simple fact to just think, hey, let's just upload high quality video, no matter what we're doing. It's possible to do, and just take the extra steps necessary to do that. Everything HD. Sound good? Awesome. Okay, next one, uploading but not promoting. And so if you post a video to either Facebook or YouTube, a lot of times so much energy has got into that. You went and you did a shoot with somebody and you planned it out and you shot it, and then you had somebody edit it, and there was all this scripting, and then you upload it and you're tired. You're like, I'm done. And so you just clock out. I would say this, that you should spend 50% on the creation of the video and 50% of your time on the distribution and promotion of the video. So that means if it takes you 4 hours to get the stuff together and then actually upload it to YouTube, you should spend another 4 promoting it. And so what I mean by that is a lot of the reasons why we don't get the influence that we need, or we don't break through, is because we don't take the time now to, once it's out there, to just email our email list. Let me ask you a question. Who here has an email list? Meaning your church does, or your nonprofit does, or somebody else? Raise your hand high. Raise your hand high. So 50% at least of the room, you have an email list, and I bet you're underutilizing it. I bet that you're not, they want to hear from you. They want updates of good, interesting, valuable stuff. But I would say 9 out of 10, if not almost 10 out of 10, organizations create something or put something out, but then they don't promote it. And that email list could be, hey guys, we just posted a new video with a giving update, or with the 5 things we're focusing on in this next quarter. And so that video sits there with almost no views. Why? Because nobody knows it's there. And so just simply taking the time to use social media and to use your email list, and to even tell a few people, maybe. We have at our church what's called a digital street team. And these are just people who are active on social media. And it's a private Facebook group, and we can just go in and say, hey guys, we just posted something. Can you just go click like and share it and get it out there? Because we know not only, number one, if they share it, will it reach their audience? But we know, number 2, that when they like it and share it and they do those things, that's the boost in engagement that Facebook wants to see, to release it to even more people. I don't know if that made sense, but we just we take that time. So think about it. If it takes you the time to create it, take time to promote it. Number 4, inconsistent posting. Find a rhythm. For most churches, you could easily be posting your sermon video every week. It's simple. It's something you know you're going to do every week, so then you could post it every week as well. But whatever it is, try to be consistent, because just like we like to maybe DVR our TV shows, and we want it to be on each week, and we expect it to be there. If it's not there, we're frustrated, we're upset. If you're like my wife, you're beautiful and you're not upset, and all the time. Anyways, with your TV shows. Okay, I digress. Inconsistent posting, and so just be consistent. So just maybe hold yourself to something. What can you do consistently? And then lastly, just not learning the basics. So once you jump into this, I hope by now that you can see that it's important to be using video, and it's important to be using it now. I mean, my heart and belief is that every one of you have a very important message to share with the world, and the organizations that you're a part of are significant and doing significant work. And so when you have a tool and an opportunity, and I believe an open window of opportunity with video and online video right now, I believe it's your responsibility and my responsibility to really take advantage of that. and therefore we can get started right where we are. But as we're going, we can level up the basics, can't we? We can learn a little bit more and change some things. I've heard it said that small tweaks lead to giant peaks. And so as we learn the basics as we go on, then our videos get better.
We hope you enjoyed this message. Biola University offers a variety of biblically centered degree programs, ranging from business to ministry to the arts and sciences. Learn more at biola.edu.